You know that moment. You're sitting next to her, maybe in the car after a good night, maybe on the couch with a show playing neither of you is really watching. She's close enough to touch, close enough to kiss, close enough that, from the outside, it would look like everything is fine. But something feels off. She laughs at your joke. She leans into you for half a second. She looks at you in this soft, unguarded way that makes your chest open up. And then, just like that, she pulls back. Her face changes. Her energy shifts. She checks her phone, says she's tired, gets quiet for no clear reason. And now, you're sitting right beside someone you feel deeply drawn to, wondering why being this close to her still somehow feels emotionally far away. And in your head, it sounds like this. What did I do? Did I come on too strong? Does she like me or just like the attention? Why does she open up and then disappear? Am I reading this wrong? Am I the problem? Here's the counterintuitive truth. She may not be pulling away because she feels nothing. She may be pulling away because she feels too much. Because for some people, connection does not just feel exciting. It feels exposing. It feels risky. It wakes up old patterns, old walls, old survival instincts they don't even fully understand themselves. So no, you're not crazy for feeling the contradiction. And you're not failing at love. You're not needy for noticing mixed signals that are actually real. And this is not automatically a sign that she's playing games or that you chose the wrong person. Sometimes, what looks like disinterest on the surface is really fear beneath the surface. By the end of this video, you're going to know the 7 biggest signs she's emotionally unavailable but still falling for you anyway. And more importantly, you'll understand how to read those signs without chasing, forcing, or losing yourself in the process. Let's get into it. Most people believe emotionally unavailable means cold, detached, and incapable of real love. But the real truth is usually much deeper than that. A lot of the time, emotionally unavailable does not mean she cannot feel. It means she has learned that feeling deeply is dangerous. It means her nervous system has been trained to associate closeness with pressure, vulnerability with loss, dependence with pain. That changes everything. Because when most people in relationships feel chemistry, they lean in. When someone emotionally guarded feels chemistry, part of them leans in too, but another part hits the alarm. Fast, almost automatically. Like a smoke detector that cannot tell the difference between warmth and fire, her nervous system may react to intimacy as if it's a threat, before her mind can even make sense of what's happening. So you end up seeing 2 versions of her. The one that wants connection, and the one that is terrified of what connection will ask of her. And here's what most couples never figure out. They think the issue is inconsistency, or texting habits, or commitment labels. But the real issue is often safety, emotional safety, relational safety. The feeling that she can be seen without being swallowed, wanted without being controlled, loved without being rushed. That's why trying harder can actually make this worse. Not more texting, not more proving yourself, not more "where's this going" conversations every 3 days, but a different emotional tone, a steadier presence, a way of being with her that doesn't corner her nervous system while still honoring your own needs. Because when safety leaves a connection, love doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it just goes underground. And if you don't understand that, you will misread her fear as indifference, your own longing as weakness, and the whole relationship as a dead end, when what's really happening is much more human than that. So with that in mind, here are the 7 signs she's emotionally unavailable, but falling for you anyway. 1. She moves toward you, then suddenly goes quiet. This one is confusing, and honestly, it's usually the first sign. Most couples look at this pattern and reduce it to one simple story. If she liked you, she'd be consistent. But that's not always how this works. Most people in relationships assume mixed signals mean mixed feelings, when sometimes they actually mean strong feelings colliding with strong fear. Because here's the deeper truth. When she starts feeling close to you, something real gets activated in her. She feels the pull. She feels the connection. She feels the possibility. But right alongside that, her nervous system may start whispering, "This is getting dangerous now." Not dangerous because of you, necessarily. Dangerous because closeness has cost her before. Because being emotionally available once may have led to rejection, betrayal, pressure, or abandonment. So she leans in. Then she disappears inward. A real-life version sounds like this. The disconnecting moment. She spends an amazing weekend with you, opens up more than usual, laughs from her stomach, holds eye contact longer than normal. And then, the next day, her texting is flat, delayed, almost cold. Your instinct says, "Why are you acting different?" Or, "I knew this meant more to me than it did to you." The connecting version sounds different. It sounds like, "Hey, no pressure to explain anything right now, but I noticed you got a little quiet after we got closer. I'm not assuming the worst. I just want you to know you don't have to perform around me." That lands differently, because her brain may be quietly registering, "He noticed the shift without punishing me for it." And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to force a single thing. 2. She remembers the small things, but struggles with the big emotional ones. Here's the part no one talks about. A woman can be emotionally guarded and still be deeply attentive to you. Most couples think emotional availability is measured by dramatic confessions, deep midnight talks, or how quickly someone can define the relationship. But most people in relationships miss the quieter signs, the little acts of presence, the tiny moments of emotional tracking. She remembers your coffee order. She remembers the story about your brother. She remembers the day you were anxious. She remembers which song makes you sentimental. That matters. Because the deeper truth is that emotional unavailability does not always look like not caring. Sometimes it looks like caring in fragments she can still control. Small, manageable pieces of connection that do not fully expose her. She may struggle with direct vulnerability, but she is still paying attention, still turning toward you in the ways that feel safe enough for her nervous system to allow. It's like trying to touch the ocean without walking in too deep. The disconnecting version of this dynamic sounds like you saying, "Why can't you just tell me how you feel for once?" And her shutting down even harder because now vulnerability feels graded, measured, demanded. The connecting version sounds more like this. "I notice you don't always say a lot, but I see the way you remember things about me. I see the way you show up. That means something to me." Now she's not being dragged into intimacy. She's being seen inside it. And something in her may be saying, "He caught the feeling beneath the form." That's the shift that turns a relationship from emotional guesswork into something that starts to feel real. 3. She opens up sideways, not straight on. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples wait for intimacy to arrive in obvious packaging. A serious conversation, a big confession, a clearly labeled vulnerable moment. But most people in relationships don't realize that emotionally guarded people often reveal themselves sideways. Not face to face. Not on command. Not in the exact moment you ask, but in the car, late at night, through a half joke, in a random voice note, in a story that seems to be about someone else but is very much about her. Because the deeper truth is that direct vulnerability can feel like standing under a spotlight. Sideways vulnerability feels safer, less exposed, less trapped. Her nervous system can let truth slip out when it doesn't feel cornered. So you have to learn how to hear what's unspoken. A real-life example? The disconnecting response is when she says, "I just don't really trust people that easily," while staring out the window, and you immediately reply, "Who hurt you?" Or, "You need to stop living in the past." Now the moment collapses. The walls go right back up. The connecting response sounds like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like you've had reasons to be careful." And then you leave space. You don't interrogate. You don't fix. You stay present. That's huge. Because what she may be feeling in that moment is, "I didn't even say much, and somehow he still heard me." Not louder conversations, not more emotional pressure, not trying to drag a deeper answer out of her, but the quiet skill of recognizing when someone is handing you a small piece of themselves and treating it like something sacred. And when you do that, she stops feeling like she has to choose between protecting herself and being known by you. 4. She pulls away right after moments of real closeness. This one hurts, because it can feel personal. Most couples read this as proof that the connection wasn't real. You have an amazing night. She's warm, open, affectionate. Maybe she even says something that makes you think, "Okay, we're finally getting somewhere." And then right after that, she creates distance. Slower replies, less initiation, less access. It feels like whiplash. But here's what nobody explains. For someone emotionally unavailable, closeness can create an emotional hangover. Not because the connection was fake, because it was real enough to shake something loose inside her. Real intimacy doesn't just create comfort. Sometimes it creates vulnerability backlash, a wave of exposure, a rush of, "Oh no, I let too much of myself be seen. Most people in relationships never catch this. They assume warmth followed by distance means manipulation. Sometimes it does, but often it means her attachment system got activated, and now she's trying to regulate by creating space. It's not always a game. Sometimes it's just an old survival cycle. The disconnecting version sounds like this. You were all over me yesterday, and now you're acting weird. Make it make sense. That may be honest, but if her nervous system already feels overwhelmed, it lands like a threat. The connecting version sounds more like, I noticed we got really close, and sometimes after that, you seem to go inward a bit. I'm not here to chase you, but I'm also not confused by it. I just want honesty between us. That is grounded. That is mature. That tells her you are present without becoming intrusive, clear without becoming controlling. And that's when your connection stops feeling like a trap to her and starts feeling like a place where repair is actually possible. 5. She tests safety without admitting she's testing it. Bro, this one is subtle, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Most couples think tests look dramatic. Jealousy games, mind games, obvious pushing and pulling. But most people in relationships miss the quieter tests emotionally guarded people run all the time. She may take longer to reply after a vulnerable moment, just to see whether you become reactive. She may bring up something small that bothered her in a clumsy way, just to see if you get defensive. She may tell you she needs space, and then silently watch whether you respect it or punish it. Why? Because the deeper truth is that when someone does not yet feel safe, they stop listening to your promises and start studying your patterns. Your nervous system teaches her more than your words ever will. She is watching how you handle disappointment. Distance, misunderstanding, friction. That's what tells her whether intimacy with you would feel like peace or pressure. And yes, men do this too. Humans do this. The disconnecting version sounds like she says, I think I need a night to myself. And you answer with, cool, do whatever you want, even though your tone says the opposite. Or worse, if you need that much space, maybe this isn't going to work. Now her system hears, closeness equals control. The connecting version sounds like, got you, take the space you need. I'm here and we can talk when you're ready. Not as a technique, not as manipulation, but because you actually know how to stay anchored inside yourself. This isn't a communication hack. This is what emotional maturity looks like in real time. And when she feels that, she stops scanning you for danger and starts relaxing into your presence. 6. She rarely asks for needs directly, but her behavior leaks them everywhere. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Emotionally unavailable people often do not say, I need reassurance, or I'm scared you'll leave, or I want you close. That would require direct access to need, and direct access to need requires a level of emotional safety they may not have learned yet. So the need leaks. It comes out sideways. She says, you've been busy lately, when what she means is, I miss you. She jokes, wow, look who finally texted back, when what she means is, I hated how invisible that made me feel. She says, it's fine, don't worry about it, when her entire energy says it is absolutely not fine. Most people in relationships respond to the words. Emotionally intelligent people respond to the feeling beneath the words. Because the deeper truth is that when someone has spent years suppressing need, need doesn't disappear. It gets encrypted. It hides under sarcasm, distance, casualness, indifference, or irritation. Beneath the surface, there is often a very human longing to be chosen without having to beg. A real-life contrast? The disconnecting response is, if something's wrong, just say it. Technically fair, emotionally useless in that moment. The connecting response is, you're saying it's fine, but it doesn't feel fine. If something landed wrong, I'm open. That gives her a bridge, a way back into honesty without shame. And her inner world may be whispering, he's not just hearing my words, he's feeling me. That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to decode and starts feeling like a person you can actually reach. 7. Around you, she becomes softer than she knows how to explain. This is the biggest sign. And honestly, it's the one that matters most. Most couples obsess over labels, timing, and consistency metrics. Important stuff, sure, but most people in relationships miss the deeper question. Who does she become around you when she stops managing herself so hard? Does she soften? Does she exhale? Does she get quieter in a peaceful way, not a shut-down way? Does she let you see little pieces of her that the rest of the world never gets? Does her body language change when you're gentle with her? Does she lean into your presence even while her words still hesitate? Because here's the deeper truth. Falling for someone is not always first expressed through declarations. Sometimes it shows up in the nervous system before it reaches language. She lingers a little longer. She looks at you when she thinks you're not noticing. She lets herself be cared for in tiny, almost accidental ways. She may still be withdrawn in places. She may still have walls. But around you, there are moments where those walls stop feeling like concrete and start feeling like doors that are slowly unlocking. That matters. A real-life example sounds like this. The disconnecting version is you noticing her softness and immediately pushing for certainty. So what are we? Do you even want this or not? Maybe that conversation needs to happen eventually, but when used to manage your anxiety, it can crush the very safety that was allowing her to unfold. The connecting version sounds like, I notice you relax around me sometimes. I notice the way you let me in, even in small ways. I don't take that lightly. That kind of naming is powerful because it honors what is becoming without forcing it to become faster. And here's what changes everything. If she is softening around you, if she is letting herself be seen in pieces, if she keeps finding her way back, if her actions carry more tenderness than her words know how to hold yet, there is a very real chance she is falling for you while still fighting every old pattern that taught her not to. And when you meet that with steadiness instead of pressure, the connection stops feeling fragile and starts feeling like somewhere both of you can finally land. So if you recognized her in this video, don't reduce her to a label too quickly. And don't romanticize the struggle either. The point is not to become the savior of someone who cannot meet you. The point is to become the kind of person who can recognize the difference between emotional unavailability that is closed and emotional unavailability that is slowly, honestly, becoming emotionally available in the presence of real safety. That's a different level of love. Because this isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to see more clearly, to respond more consciously, to stop taking every protective pattern personally while still refusing to abandon your own needs in the process. When you internalize this, you stop chasing mixed signals and start reading human behavior with depth, patience, and self-respect. And that changes everything about the kind of relationship you build. These aren't just signs to watch for in her. They're also a mirror for you, for how you handle closeness, for how you react when someone pulls back, for whether you know how to offer presence without losing yourself, and ask for connection without making love feel like pressure. That's what emotionally mature people do. Not perfectly, but for real. So yes, she may be emotionally unavailable, but if she's remembering you, softening with you, opening up sideways, testing safety, and coming back after moments that scare her, there's a good chance this connection is not empty. It's just tender and unfinished. If this video helped put words to something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, make sure you subscribe and stick around. And if you want, drop a comment with the word safety if this hit home. Because real intimacy doesn't start when someone stops being afraid. It starts when two people learn how to make love feel safe enough to stay.